Tonight, Senate President gives revenue-generating agencies in the country marching orders to remit 3 trillion naira annually to the Federation account. Former Governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, declares intention to run for the presidency as the FCC files 17-count charge against him for alleged 2.9 billion naira fraud. National Assembly transmits re-amended electoral bill to the president for assent. Civil society organization urges President Buhari not to decline signing the document again. And Mali's military leaders expels a French ambassador over comments by the country's foreign minister about the transitional government. Plus, international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria launches 100 for 100 policy to boost production activities in the manufacturing sector.
On sports news tonight, Rafael Nadal celebrates historic Australian Open win in Melbourne after becoming the greatest of all time with his 21st Grand Slam title.
And from Abuja, Nigeria and the UK begin their first security and defense partnership dialogue in London as part of efforts towards ending the ongoing security challenge in the country.
The Senate has given revenue-generating agencies a target of 3 trillion naira annually to remit to the Federation account. President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, gave this target during the meeting between the Senate leadership, members of the Committee on Finance, and revenue-generating agencies of government. He says these agencies are capable of generating and remitting 3 trillion naira annually to the coffers of the federal government if efforts are made to cut down on wasteful spending. Our correspondent, Linda Akibe, has more.
The overall budget deficit in the 2022 budget is 6.39 trillion naira, which represents 3.46% of the country's gross domestic product. This huge deficit is worrisome for a country with a budget size of 17.126 trillion naira, and there have been calls for the federal government to reduce deficit budgeting and minimize borrowing.
Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Finding solutions to these challenges is a reason for this gathering between the Senate and revenue-generating agencies in the country to explore means of increasing government revenue.
We are sick of revenue. We have no revenue. And I think when we sit here, we should talk the truth and say it as it is.
According to the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, several government agencies flout the Fiscal Responsibility Act by refusing to remit the correct revenue to the Federation account.
It is expected that any agencies that are partly funded by the federal government, such agencies are expected to pay 80% of whatever they accrue to them as operational surplus into the coffers of the government. But to our greatest surprise, we found out that the number of agencies that comply with this relevant section of the law is a far cry from the number we have that is expected.
But the revenue-generating agencies have several issues they want addressed. For instance, the Nigeria Immigration Service laments the outsourcing of its cooperations to service providers, while the Customs Boss is concerned that some clauses in the Finance Act will affect revenue collection.
We have consulted the legal luminaries, and the conclusion is that this act is confusing. And if stakeholders decide to take leverage of this, they can decide to say, we are not supposed to collect duties and levies.
The Committee on Finance, with the ministry, with you, we will look at this Finance Act where it is established beyond any reasonable doubt that there is need for us to amend. We will do so expeditiously. Probably that will be the fastest amendment that we will have to make because time is of essence. We want you to collect money for January.
Considering the number of revenue-generating agencies in the country, the Senate President directs the Committee on Finance to engage with the agencies individually to understand challenges faced in meeting revenue targets. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
To politics, and the former governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, has joined the race for the nation's #1 seat. Senator Okorocha today officially declared his interest to contest for the presidency in the 2023 general elections at a press conference in Abuja, where he declared that he wants to beat the record of President Muhammadu Buhari. According to the former governor, his leadership will promote free education for all Nigerian children, and youth will be the bedrock of his administration.
Today in Nigeria, it will be wrong for anybody in this country to say that President Muhammad Buhari is corrupt. It will be very wrong to say that President Muhammad Buhari is a thief. It will not be unfair to say that President Muhammad Buhari hates Nigeria. I answered your question. The question I said to you, I said, for every 1 billion naira problem Nigeria has, they have only 10,000 naira to solve it. And so, the Nigeria of 2023 requires me. Because I'm not going to approach governance from the way it's been approached now. It's total arrangement. And if you ask me how to do it, because if you want to be a millionaire, you got to think like a millionaire. President Buhari has done well as far as I'm concerned, but President Buhari will not wish that he's become the best. I want to beat his record 1 billion times. So for my youth, the economy under New Nigeria, the youth again shall be the bedrock and the pivot upon which all the wheels of our economy will rotate, anchored by technology. It is for this reason that I want to inform you that please permit me to be your pilot for the New Nigeria. Yes. That I might pilot this aircraft of the New Nigeria to its destiny.
While he prepares to vie for his party's presidential ticket, Senator Okorocha may also gear up for a legal battle with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the coming days. And this is because the anti-graft agency has filed a 17-count charge at the Federal High Court, Abuja, alleging that Senator Okorocha conspired with others, including an APC politician and 5 companies, to steal 2.9 billion naira from public coffers. According to sources, his co-accused, Mr. Anyim Nyerere Chinenye, was the APC governorship candidate at the 2015 election in Abia State and currently serves as a commissioner at the National Pension Commission. The accused persons are alleged to have stolen the said amount belonging to Imo State and local government areas in the state in contravention of the Money Laundering Act 2011. According to the charges, the stolen funds were diverted between October 2014 and February 2016 from the Imo State Government House account and Imo State Joint Local Government Project account. Senator Okorocha has, however, denied the allegations. Speaking on our program, Politics Today, he described the suit as politically motivated.
The story of Rochas and EFCC, the story of Rochas and politics of Imo State has been a long dragging one. Actually, I'm not aware of this 2.8 million suit. But what I do know, that the stage I find myself with EFCC is that I had an order against EFCC from Federal High Court on my human right abuse. And EFCC had refused to obey that order. Again, the EFCC asked the judge to recuse himself or resign from the case. Now I have another judgment against EFCC on my fundamental human right and false allegations, which has to do with their mentioning that I took 5.7 billion naira, which is not true. and they have not been able to explain that. And I have a court judgment against them. And EFCC have gone back again to the same court to say, listen, judge, leave that case, recuse yourself, and resign from the case. So anytime I get judgment against EFCC on my human right, they either ask the court, the judge, to recuse himself and assign to another court or something. It's been one drama or the other. But what is happening, actually, I don't want to say it's politically motivated, but it's looking more like it.
Staying with the race to the presidency, Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State says he has accepted the call by stakeholders of the Sokoto State People's Democratic Party to initiate the process of consultation to contest for president of Nigeria. Governor Tambuwal stated this at the party's stakeholders meeting in Sokoto, where party supporters and leaders called on him to contest for the position of the president. While making his intention known, the governor said he has never taken any major political steps without consulting with political leaders and stakeholders.
I have listened to party leaders, the women, the youth, and members of our great party in Sokoto State on the call that I should initiate and begin the process of consultation with a view of running and contesting first as flag bearer of the PDP, and if God Almighty bless our efforts, subsequently the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the name of God Almighty, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I hereby accept to begin the process of consultation.
At the state level, another contender for the Ekiti State governorship seat has emerged. Here's Dr. Reuben Famuyibo, who is to fly the flag of the Accord Party in the election. Members of the party unanimously endorsed Dr. Famuyibo as their candidate at the governorship primary in Ado-Ekiti today, vowing to wrestle power from the APC and the PDP. For the AP flag bearer, Ekiti people deserve an alternative to the governorship seat, oscillating between the two parties.
I'm the candidate of Accord Party, and I thank God for that we have done a free and fair election. Very, very free and fair. You can see that we are all very joyful here. No rigging, no fighting. We have done it to such a way. And you can see that INEC witnessed, everybody came, they came all over the state to come and witness this primary. I want to come back home and see laughter all over the faces of my people. But what is going on in Ekiti? Ekiti is in a sorry state now. What do we need a flyover for in Ekiti State, where we don't have a single industry? Where nearly everybody, they are now Okada riders. Where people are saying that Ado, Ekiti and Ekiti towns are the headquarters of Yahoo boys. What do we do about that? What is happening to governance here?
The clerk to the National Assembly, Mr. Olatunde Amos Ojo, has transmitted the authenticated copies of the Electoral Bill 2022 to the President for his assent. He explained in a statement today that this was done in accordance with the provisions of Section 58, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President had withheld assent to the Electoral Bill 2021 transmitted to him in November 2021. The Electoral Bill was thereafter reworked by the National Assembly, and both the Senate and House of Representatives passed the same on January 25th, 2022. In part two, after the break, a joint implementation committee of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission meets in South Africa to discuss ways of improving relations between both countries. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you watch the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Senate President gives revenue-generating agencies in the country marching orders to remit 3 trillion naira annually to the Federation account. Former governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, declares intention to run for the presidency as the EFCC files 17-count charge against him for alleged 2.9 billion naira fraud. National Assembly transmits amended electoral bill to the president for assent. Civil society organization urges President Buhari not to decline signing it again. And Mali's military leaders expel French ambassador over comments by the country's foreign minister about the transitional government. As all eyes turn to the presidency for the next action on the electoral bill, a non-governmental organization, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, is asking President Muhammadu Buhari not to withhold his assent to the bill for a second time. The executive director of PLAC, Mr. Clement Wankwo, made the call at a conference on closing civic space for effective advocacy and freedom to participate in governance held in Abuja.
I think the most important thing on everybody's agenda now is the electoral bill which the National Assembly has passed. I think that the Nigerian constitutional system is quite clear. The National Assembly makes laws. The president acts in the best national interest of the country to sign and assent to laws. And when we look at the fact that with just a couple of months to elections and even primaries, that the president has not signed the electoral bill, we all should be concerned. Yes, the parties need to do a lot, but we need to have a settled legal environment for elections to happen in 2023. And if the president is going to delay in signing this new bill that has been sent back to him a second time, then I think it would be a major challenge. It could actually even be a major threat to the coming election. So we believe that the president should, the moment he receives the bill, review and assent to it so that elections can happen, the parties can prepare. It's good enough that candidates are showing their intentions. I think that once the electoral bill or a new electoral act is in place, it would speed up preparations, whether it is people declaring to run for elections at any level at all, or even the parties outlining their rules for primaries and for selection of candidates.
2 years is still counting. The dispute surrounding the suspension of 14 members of the Edo State House of Assembly remains unresolved. The affected members are appealing to the judiciary to expedite action on the matter and prevent what they term an arrest of democracy. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, a former speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, who is also affected by the impasse, called on the Attorney General of the Federation and Chief Justice of Nigeria and the National Judicial Council to save the situation.
What I understand as a senior member of the legislative arm at the state level, what I understand by inauguration is, first of all, it is arranged in a way that the governor has to do a proclamation. And if you check the dictionary meaning of proclamation, it's simply a public announcement. And this wasn't done. We cried after waiting. The last assembly ended June 7th, 2019. We waited till June 17th when every House of Assembly in Nigeria had been inaugurated. We discovered that ours was the one remaining. We now did a press conference on the 17th telling the well-meaning Edo people and well-meaning Nigeria to help prevail on the governor to do his constitutional right by proclaiming the House. We went to the judiciary. We went to court. And because it's a state-bound matter, it's in the state high court. Up till now, for these 2 years and 7 months, it is sad and shocking to hear that this matter has never been heard. It is movement from one judge to the other. This is the 8th judge.
Outside the country, the Joint Implementation Committee of the Consular and Migration Forum of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission has held its meeting in Pretoria, South Africa, to discuss relevant issues that would help improve relations between both countries. Present on the Nigerian side were the heads of the Nigerian missions in South Africa, as well as a delegation from Nigeria comprised of officials from the NDLEA, NAPTIP, Human Rights Commission, EFCC, among others, and their counterpart institutions in South Africa. Our South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia reports.
Both sides broke and shared kola nuts. They also exchanged gifts as a sign of brotherhood. But the past 4 days before this, we're told, were not all smiles and pats on the back.
Obviously, there are so many misunderstandings amongst us about how each other's system works, and also there was no channel where we could be discussing this and how to find a common position. So, and then of course most of our time was taken by the issue of migration. How do we find each other on these issues of migration? There are issues that the Nigerian side has raised on the visa processes and all that it takes long and things like that. Which are things that we are going to be working on. That how do we make it to be more responsive?
Ambassador Akinremi Bolaji, Director Legal and Consular Matters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was the head of Nigeria's delegation. We asked him what outcomes and probably timelines came out of the meeting.
This meeting has created a positive outlook for Nigeria. Number one, we've been able to impress it that Nigerians are not drug dealers. Number two, we share the circumstance that South Africans find themselves, that they are not xenophobic by nature. And so we are not promoting or we are not accusing them, but we are just saying that we need to work together as one. So Consular and Migration Forum, this is the second meeting, and the first meeting of Joint Implementation Committee has met, which has now been able to create parameters to judge the work and assess the work of the Consular and Migration Forum. So the binational now, every decision that is taken, we have a time frame. We have what to watch out for. So if you have an MOU, how long does it take you to negotiate? We don't want something that will take 10 years and you are still there 3 years, you have not been able to decide. So this meeting has been able to put time frame to actions that we want to take. It has, the first priority is to get the MOU on consular migration signed and the early warning system. And our ministers have been asked to get this done as quick as possible in any multilateral forum, either in Addis Ababa, during the AU, or in the UN.
Consular and immigration issues often top sources of tension sometimes in relations between Nigeria and South Africa, which openly declared to be sister nations. The subcommittee rose from the meeting, hopeful that the right steps are now being taken to smoothen the rough patches with improved understanding and actions ahead of further meetings of the bigger Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission. From Pretoria, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Let's toss it over now to Gloria in Abuja for more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Amarachi. Well, staying outside the shores of the country, this time in the United Kingdom, where Nigeria and the UK have begun the first meeting of the Nigeria-UK Security and Defence Partnership Dialogue. The talks, led by UK National Security Advisor Sir Stephen Lovegrove and Nigerian National Security Advisor Major General Babagana Monguno, are scheduled to last for 3 days. Our London correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, has more.
Just maybe 20 minutes.
The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office in London has today played host to the opening session of the UK-Nigeria Security and Defence Partnership Dialogue. The talks are aimed at fostering both countries' shared stability, prosperity and growth for a series of initiatives that will help Nigeria's security forces defeat Boko Haram and other terror groups wreaking havoc across communities. The private gathering comes more than 3 years after the signing of the first ever security and defence partnership in Abuja. under the leadership of the former Conservative Prime Minister Theresa May. As part of the initial agreement, the UK will reportedly expand its provision of equipment and training for the Nigerian military, invest in the education of children living in conflict zones, and the UK government will assist in strengthening the Nigerian police force. With daily reports concerning terror, kidnapping and banditry dominating discourse in the country, today's talks between the UK and Nigeria on strengthening security ties is timely and perhaps crucial to ensure that a conflict-free election is held next year. Juliana Olayinka reporting at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in London.
We continue with security matters back home, with a combined team of the Nigerian Army and the police mobilizing to Ilela village in Safana local government area of Katsina State, following an attack on the village by terrorists. The police spokesperson in charge of the Katsina command, Mr. Gambo Issa, confirmed the development but could not verify the number of people killed. However, some residents who escaped to the neighboring communities put the number of those killed at 12. Channels Television gathered from anonymous sources that the terrorists had in their numbers on Friday morning invaded the village for hours with a view to avenging the decision of a repentant bandit, popularly known as Mani Turuwa, who was said to be protecting the community. One of the residents said the terrorists arrived on motorcycles and operated for 4 hours. They were said to have engaged in a gun duel with a gang of repentant terrorists led by Turuwa, who eventually repelled them. In Zamfara State, 32 kidnapped victims who were abducted in Niger, Katsina and Zamfara states have been rescued by the police. The spokesman of Zamfara Police Command, Mohammed Shehu, said police tactical operatives deployed along Mada axis on confidence-building patrol acted on intelligence information, rescuing 10 of the victims abducted along the Sheme Funtua Road in Katsina State on January 10, 2022. Just yesterday, another set of 19 kidnapped victims, including 15 males and 4 females, were handed over by Brigade Commander, 1 Brigade Nigerian Army Gusau, to the Zamfara State Police Command. The victims were rescued by the military operatives along Dansadao axis in Maru local government area. Meanwhile, the police say 23 terrorists have been killed, 37 others arrested during an operation in 3 local government areas of Sokoto State. Speaking to journalists in Sokoto, the Deputy Inspector General of Police says the suspects were arrested with 32 AK-47 rifles, 2 rocket launchers, over 1,000 rounds of live ammunition and sophisticated weapons. Well, meanwhile, in Ekiti State, the police have paraded 98 suspected political thugs arrested on the eve of the governorship primaries of the People's Democratic Party in the state. We're speaking to State Police Command headquarters, where the suspects were paraded. The police public relations officer, Ekiti Command, Sunday Abutu, says the thugs were arrested at Itawure, a border town with Osun State, with guns and other dangerous weapons. To the judiciary, the Court of Appeal Abuja Division has reserved judgment in an appeal filed by the convener of Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, challenging a court ruling that confined him to Abuja since 2019. Sowore is praying the appellate court to review and set aside a part of his bail condition that barred him from traveling out of the Federal Capital Territory, pending the conclusion of a criminal case the federal government preferred against him. Justice Ijoma Ojukwu of the Federal High Court in Abuja had, in a ruling delivered on October 4, 2019, granted Sowore bail to the tune of 100 million with 2 sureties in like sum. However, dissatisfied with the conditions which he described as very stringent, he lodged an appeal. At the resumed proceedings in the appeal, Showore's lawyer urged the appellate court to allow the appeal and set aside the ruling of the trial court, while the federal government sought the dismissal of the appeal for want of merit. After the parties adopted their briefs, a three-man panel of justices, led by Justice Haruna Samani, reserved the judgment till a date to be communicated to both sides. We're still ahead on the news at 10. Central Bank of Nigeria launches 100 for 100 policy to boost production activities in the manufacturing sector. That's in business news.
Welcome back. The family of a Nigerian student who died in Ukraine on January 9th, 2022, Fadlula Agboluaje, is blaming the school for negligence on the part of the liaison officer who received him. Autopsy reports indicate that he died of pneumonia as a result of extreme cold. According to his mother, who spoke during a condolence visit to the family by the chairman, CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, her son complained that the heater in his room was not working and demanded that the appliance be fixed or replaced, but got no response from the receptionist on duty. The chairman of NIDCOM informed the family of the efforts of the Nigerian ambassador in Ukraine, whom she said, with the consent of Fadlula, demanded immediate autopsy. She said that the Nigerian government will work with the family on whatever steps need to be taken, whatever steps they plan to take on the issue of apparent negligence on the part of the institution. Well, to other matters, solving the age-long traffic challenge in Apapa in Lagos State requires the intervention of everyone to achieve a permanent solution. That's according to some stakeholders in the maritime sector who are calling for an end to extortion, multiple revenue collection and bureaucratic bottleneck by some staff and security operatives at the ports and the terminals.
Welcome to Apapa, one of the local government areas in Lagos State and host to 2 ports and several terminals operated by the Nigerian Ports Authority. Talking about gridlock and Apapa to some may look like flogging a dead horse. But to some others, it goes beyond that, considering how much is lost.
If the driver does not distribute goods, the consumers cannot have it. The agent will not see it. If the price of things are too high, this is because of this.
Some stakeholders consider continuous discussion on the traffic situation as a veritable solution to addressing it, reason they are here. These men and women, members of the Nigeria Association of Road Transport Owners, say they are working in collaboration with the Lagos State Special Committee on Apapa. They have the backing of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority and the police for this exercise, which is meant to enforce the removal of trucks parked on the road without authorization. Few minutes into our recording, the law enforcers are not anywhere the camera could pick them. The challenges with the traffic situation in Apapa may be many, but not insurmountable.
We call the point a computer where all the documentation will be done. You can see a staff pressing his phone for like, the process that take just 2-3 minutes. You can be there for like 1 hour. They'll be pressing phone, they'll be playing game on their phone. Why we have the truck that's supposed to exit the port? And they are doing this just to create an artificial traffic in the port, so that from creating this artificial traffic, something will be coming down to their pocket.
All this my hand now, if it's he beat me now. All this.
The drivers of these articulated vehicles have their stories to tell, most of them about extortion.
If my call up, I can't just go to the road, right? I'm going to Tinker. I'm a container driver. I'm on my work. They stop me to bring money. Police, soldier at Alakija under bridge, Alakija, they asked me to bring 5,000. I asked them for what? Soldier dragged me down. Everybody started to fight, beat me. So tell my teeth come out.
Still talking about attacks on drivers, our camera captures how one of them is attacked. Before long, our crew is also attacked. The driver is being stabbed. While we clear to safety, the gridlock remains, with hope that those with the wherewithal will address it sometime soon.
to other stories as well. Aspirin Nigeria Limited has unveiled the latest addition to its beauty products, and that is the Siri Beauty and Perfumed Bar Soap for its teeming customers. The Nigerian brand also unveiled Miss Nigeria Queen Shatu Garko and Nollywood actress Adesua Etomi Wellington as brand ambassadors of Siri.
Aspirin Nigeria Limited, one of the largest manufacturers and distributors of laundry care and personal healthcare products in Nigeria, is adding a new brand to its beauty family. In line with the brand's commitment to serve customers with the best products, they're introducing its newest beauty and perfumed bar soap into the Nigerian market.
We are delighted to unveil Siri Beauty and Perfumed Soap, which comes in 4 variants: Delightful Orchid, Sensual Rose, Gorgeous Iris, and African Marigold.
And also Miss Nigeria.
In the same vein, they unveiled the brand ambassadors of Siri, Nollywood actress Adesua Etomi Wellington, and Miss Nigeria, Queen Shatu Sani Gaku.
I'd like to thank Aspira for their integrity, number one. I'd love to thank them for caring about the Nigeria market and seeing the value in the market. And I'd also like to thank them for an opportunity to represent something this beautiful.
The brand is a northern brand. It was established in Kano State, where I come from. So I'm super excited to work with Aspira. I think I can actually do well without breaking any rules that concerns my religion or culture.
The managing director of Aspirin Nigeria Limited explains what makes Siri Beauty soap stand apart.
We have a lot of soaps in the market, but the idea of Siri is we have a company that works in perfumeries and cosmetics for the last 20 years. So with our technical people, we made the soap that smells as if it's a perfume. At the same time, it cleanses your body and it gives it this glow and smoothness. So the idea of Siri is much more than a beauty soap.
Aspirin Nigeria Limited is located in the northern city of Kano and began operations in Nigeria in 2009.
Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC has given out 4 million naira to winners of the maiden edition of the FMN Prize for Innovation. The Director of Group Strategy and Stakeholders Relations of FMN, Sadiq Usman, says the initiative is to encourage individuals in the agriculture sector and to fulfill the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Mr. Sadiq Usman was speaking at the handover of checks to the winner of the maiden edition, Chukwunonyerem Ogbonna, and first runner-up Samson Obule.
Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, a diversified Nigerian agribusiness company passionate about feeding the nation for over 5 decades, is supporting young entrepreneurs in the food value chain. The company's latest idea is the FMN Prize for Innovation, which targets those willing to address food production as well as individuals converting waste to wealth in the country.
All right, my name is Chukwunonyerem. If you stay with me, Nigeria has a very big problem with electricity.
After a rigorous screening of over 500 entries to the top 5, a winner emerges and goes home with 3 million naira, while the first runner-up gets 1 million naira for their business.
We believe that with the UN SDG 2030 agenda, it is very critical that we have people who need to be supported, guided, encouraged, and that is why our winner walked home with a check of 3 million naira to help the winning business as they move their idea from concept stage to commercial stage.
The winners are excited about the support from FMN as they believe it will take their businesses to the next level.
Being winners of this competition for us is not just about the cash prize, it's about
representing where we are coming from, Rivers State. It's about making a statement about the waste pollution in our state and how and the efforts we are doing to solve it.
Coming as a first runner up in the FMN prize, we want to use the money to get a logistics vehicle so that we can easily move our produce from the farm to the marketplace.
Their business progress will also be monitored by Flour Mills Nigeria PLC.
Going into the future, we have plans to continue to engage our top 5 because their development and their progress is of interest to us. Because it's not just for FMN, it's for the country as a whole.
The leading food and agro-allied group says the FMN Prize for Innovation has come to stay and will help achieve sustainable food system for Nigeria.
That leads us to more business news. Here's Anne Mawodo.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. As part of efforts to boost production activities in the manufacturing sector, the Central Bank of Nigeria has launched what it calls the 100 for 100 policy on production, which targets the provision of credit facilities to the manufacturing sector. Speaking at the launch in Abuja, the governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, explains that some of the targets of this initiative includes increasing local productivity, improving non-oil exports, and improving foreign exchange earnings for Nigeria.
Once again, the auditorium of the Central Bank comes alive as the Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, through a series of interventions, introduces the 100 for 100 policy on production and productivity. The idea is to empower Nigerians in the manufacturing, agriculture, the extractive industry, petrochemicals, healthcare, and logistical services into accessing loans of about 5 billion naira, which will in turn boost their businesses and create about 20,000 jobs.
The CBN has continued to introduce various policy measures in the form of interventions to stimulate low-cost and sustainable financing to priority sectors and segments of the economy. The 100 for 100 policy for production and productivity is one of such interventions designed to fast-track productive activities in priority sectors.
The 100 for 100 policy for production and productivity targets the provision of loan facilities to 100 investors every 100 days. There's optimism here that the policy will address youth's restiveness and lift some Nigerians out of poverty.
The youths from age 18 to age 35, 40, we have seen the challenges. Boko Haram, you have seen it. We have also seen hypo, unemployment.
I believe, looking at this specific 100 for 100, one thing that is very pleasant and pleasing to us is that you are not only encouraging the investments in new capacity, but also in brownfield investment that will expand existing capacity.
After the speeches, the first set of beneficiaries are each presented with checks. 28 companies have been selected for the first phase of the launch with projects valued at 23 billion naira.
Major oil marketers in the country have reacted to the recent suspension in the removal of fuel subsidy by the federal government for the next 18 months. At a meeting with energy correspondents today in Lagos, the chairman of Moman Olumide Adeosun says the postponement of the plan will give enough time for the government and petrol marketers in the country to implement the change needed to transform Nigeria's economic structure. And we head to the equities market now. It ended Monday's trading session and the last trading day in the month of January on a positive note. Investors are positioning for full-year dividend earnings. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the equities market sustains positive sentiment from Friday as investors position for earning bets, driving the all-share index up almost 1% at the end of trading today. And that move added about 226 billion naira to the equity cap. Not a bad way to start the week. Let's take a look at the activity chart. It's 435 million units traded, valued at 3.44 billion naira. We have more deals today compared to Friday, with the deals hitting the 6,400 level. Sectors we track today are mostly in the green, with the banking sector up 0.43%, as banking stocks are the toast of investors right now, with the full year 2021 earnings looking pretty good. Over to the gainers counter, we see Briscoe is the top gainer today, adding 2 kobo to its share price to close at 22 kobo, while University Press topped the losers counter to close at 2 naira 40 kobo. Quite a bullish start to the week that heads into February. Maybe we'll have a Valentine rally. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Ladi. We hope that's sustained in the new month. Meanwhile, for U.S. stocks, they have bounced for a second day today. Investors are wrapping up on a rough January by snapping up some of the tech shares on the battered month. Let's find out how they all ended today. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Mali's military leaders have given the French ambassador Joel Meyer 72 hours to leave the country following comments by the French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian describing the junta as illegitimate and out of control. Military leaders in Mali have described the comments as outrageous. Simon Pusey has more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
North Korea has released photographs which it said were taken from its most powerful missile launch in 5 years. According to the state news agency KCNA, it is the first time a nuclear-capable missile of that size has been launched since 2017. The unusual pictures taken from space show parts of the Korean peninsula and surrounding areas. Pyongyang confirmed it had tested a Hwasong-12 intermediate-range ballistic missile. At its full power, it can travel thousands of miles, putting areas like the US territory of Guam within striking distance. 2 police officers have been shot dead in western Germany during a routine traffic stop. Police have closed the road in the Kusel district in Rhineland-Palatinate, a state on the French border. A 29-year-old male officer and a 24-year-old female officer were shot dead at the scene. Police have launched a manhunt. Roads in the area remain closed and authorities have urged people not to pick up hitchhikers, saying at least one suspect is armed. At least 19 people have died in floods and landslides caused by torrential rains in the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo. Pictures show whole roads underwater, while about 500 families have been left homeless. Sao Paulo's governor, João Doria, has released emergency funds after surveying the flooded areas by air. Britain's Defence Minister Ben Wallace has said it was important to defuse the Ukraine-Russia crisis, as a war would not only mean human casualties, but would also lead to greater instability, higher fuel prices and migrant flows.
I think it's important when it comes to military deployment that we signal to President Putin that the very thing he fears, which is more NATO closer to Russia, would be a consequence of a strategic error of invading a sovereign country such as Ukraine.
Cyprus's highest court has overturned the conviction of a British woman found guilty by a lower court of faking a claim that she was gang raped on the island in 2019. Here seen arriving at court in January 2020, the woman was given a 4-month suspended prison sentence for falsely accusing several Israeli men of raping her. The woman said she withdrew her complaint against the men while she was under duress after hours of police questioning and without a lawyer present or offered. The British government said after her conviction it had numerous concerns about the judicial process. South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma has appeared in court to face a long-standing corruption trial regarding a $2 billion government arms deal. His lawyers had argued that the lead state prosecutor, Billy Downer, should be removed from the case, claiming that Downer was biased and his involvement would result in Zuma not getting a fair trial. Zuma is accused of taking bribes from French company Thales and also faces 16 counts of fraud, corruption and racketeering. At least 9 people have died and several more have been injured after a bomb attack in northern Kenya on a public commuter van locally known as Matutu. Pictures from local journalists showed mangled wreckage of the minivan that appears to have been blown up after running over an improvised explosive device. The Matatu was travelling towards Mandera, a town in the border area which has been regularly targeted by militant attacks. No one has taken responsibility so far. A painting by the German expressionist Franz Marc that was recently restored from a German museum to the heirs of its original Jewish owners will be sold at auction next month. Marc's 1913 painting called Foxes will hit the block on March the 1st. It is estimated to fetch around $46.8 million, nearly double the artist's current auction record of $24 million. And finally, millions of people across the globe are celebrating Chinese New Year, which is the year of the tiger. People traditionally wear red, visit family and friends, and eat traditional Chinese food, while there's also dancing, with model dragons often making an appearance too. Also known as Lunar New Year or Spring Festival, it runs from Tuesday, February the 1st to February the 15th. More than 2 billion people celebrate the festival worldwide. It is a national holiday in countries including Indonesia, Vietnam, South Korea, Malaysia, North Korea and Taiwan.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. And now to sports news. Premier League club Everton have appointed former Chelsea boss Frank Lampard as their manager on a 2.5-year contract. Lampard takes over a club 4 points above the relegation zone and facing the distinct possibility of finding themselves competing outside the top tier of the English football for the first time in almost 70 years next season. Rafael Nadal is still celebrating his record 21st Grand Slam title in Melbourne, posing with the Australian Open trophy on the lawns of the city's government house. Nadal rolled back from 2 sets down to edge Daniel Medvedev to claim his second Australian Open title. With Novak Djokovic forced out by deportation and Roger Federer recovering from knee surgery, the Spanish great is now one major title clear of his big 3 rivals. Australian Open champion Ashley Barty retained the top spot of the newly updated WTA rankings released today. Barty now sits 2,633 points clear of second place Aryna Sabalenka, while Barbora Krejcikova moved up 1 spot to 3rd after making the Australian Open quarterfinals. The ATP Top 10 rankings remain largely unchanged, with Djokovic retaining top spot, though is now threatened by Australian Open runner-up Daniel Medvedev, who moved within 1,000 points of the Serbian. With just 4 days before the opening ceremony of the 2022 Winter Games, colorful illuminations cover the Beijing Olympic Tower. The motorsport event is scheduled to take place from February 4th to 20th in Beijing and venues near the neighboring town of Yancheng and Chongqing in China. The world's top winter sport athletes are set to gather in the Chinese capital, where they will attempt to turn their hard work over the last 4 years into something tangible during the 17 days of the game. That's sports news. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks, Chris. In the main news again, the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, today met with revenue-generating agencies of government in the country and ordered them to remit 3 trillion naira annually to the Federation account as a way of boosting the nation's revenue. Also today, Nigeria and the UK began their first security and defence partnership dialogue in London as part of efforts towards ending the ongoing security challenges in the country. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. From all of us here, it's good night.